With Cullman Today, I'm with Senator Paul Bussman. We're going to have week 5 in our weekly discussion about goings-on in Montgomery at the Alabama legislative sessions. Senator, can you bring us up to date on what occurred this week?
We had a challenging week this week. Week 5 was a very challenging week in respect to our Republican and conservative values. Again, we had a challenge of local rule. Again, we have a challenge of government overreach, and it was a very heated discussion. It took up a considerable amount of time in the legislature this week, and that bill was the Heritage Protection Act, which would prevent monuments from being taken down. And if somebody wanted to take a monument down, they would have to take it to the state of Alabama, to a committee of the legislature, to allow that to happen. And I firmly believe in local control. I firmly believe that our local people ought to be making those decisions. I don't think a committee in Montgomery that has no input has no idea what goes on in our community, doesn't have any idea of the history of our community, for them to be deciding is to me not a very good option.
Yeah, well, I'd like to interject. On these bills and laws, I get the occasional email, the occasional phone call, but this week the phones and email lines blew up. This is a big topic in Cullman, Winston County, and so forth. It really is.
It is, and to me, we have to resolve the fact of local rule. Do we want the government coming in and telling us what we can do? And I don't think we do. I trust our local officials to do the right thing when it comes to monuments. Now, will the local officials in other parts of the state do the same thing? I sincerely doubt that. But I know in my local area that if our local officials did something that was totally unreasonable and was totally inexcusable, that the next election cycle they would be gone in a heartbeat. And so, I understand that part, but I also understand the fact that we do not need state government coming in here telling counties and cities what to do. Now, if we're talking about state property, I don't have any problem with that. The legislature has full authority over that. And when the situation where Governor Bentley took the flags down at the Capitol, we would have had the opportunity to fix that. But I don't think the Alabama legislature ought to extend our hand down into city government and county government. And so it's just something that has been a very important issue this week, and it will continue to be an issue, and we'll see how it works out.
Well, and you made a point there, and I think it's a nuance, but it's really the essence of it. It's about state property versus local property, correct?
It's exactly what it was. And like I said, I wouldn't have had any problem with the bill had we had just limited it to state property. But when you start coming down into local and city business and you're expecting state appointed committee members to really care about what goes in our community, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was following a bill that maybe you could talk about. It had to do with foster care and foster parents and kind of the procedures that are changing. I thought that was interesting. Did you get in on that at all?
Yeah, we did. One of the things that's important to me is foster care. One of the things that's important to me in the state of Alabama is to get these children out of the system and into loving homes. And if we can do that and make their life as normal as possible, then that's exactly what we need to do. And this week, Senator Brubaker brought a bill that would normalize foster care. And many of you probably don't know that if a foster child wants to go spend the night with his junior high friend, the family has to get permission from DHR to do that. And if anybody's a parent like I am with a 14-year-old child, they don't decide that till Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're ready to spend the night that night. And so what this did was it allows the parents or the foster parents to make those decisions about spending the night, sports, and those kind of things, which are normal parenting decisions. The other thing it did was it allowed for a continuation process after a parent would die. For instance, if a foster parent died and the child has been with this family for 10 years, there's no set procedure for that person to continue in that family. That person would probably have to go back to foster care. And so what this bill did, it set up a plan where that child could go somewhere else in that family that he or she's been in for 10 or 12 years. And it just makes a better situation for them where they don't get uprooted out of a house and moved into another system. I thought that was a tremendous bill from Senator Brubaker.
Yeah, it seemed to make complete sense, and it seemed to me Not that I'm supposed to have an opinion, but it was good lawmaking, it seemed like to me.
Well, it just it just normalizes foster children. You shouldn't have to go to the department to ask if you're spending the night. If the department trusts the parents enough to raise this child, then they ought to trust them enough to make a parenting decision on whether a child can spend the night with somebody or play football or whatever sport they want to play.
All right, Senator, let's shift gears to next week number 6. Any predictions, any thoughts of what might be coming up of interest?
I think what we'll see next week is the House will probably deal with the education budget, so we won't see that for about another 2 weeks. I think what we're going to see is Senator Marsh's bill on education, which deals with tenure, which deals with some of the reforms of evaluation of teachers, and those type things. And I think that's going to be another one of those controversial bills that we really have to look at closely. There's going to be a lot of people involved in that. There's going to be a lot of organizations involved with that. The teachers will be involved in it. The support personnel will be involved in it. Higher education will be involved in it. All sides of this will come together next week, and I think what we'll see is it will come to the floor for some kind of a vote by the end of the week.
Sounds like we all need to get a scorecard to keep track of all the players on that.
But it's going to be it will be a well-attended event. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, very good. I think you're right. Senator, thanks for your time. We'll see you again next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.